Hello students, welcome to part 5 of data related issues. In this particular session, we'll be continuing with the data pre-processing issue that we had. So we will be learning about the feature subset selection, feature weighing and feature creations. So to begin with, we'll see what is actually a feature subset selection is. So in this particular technique, we are going to reduce the dimensionality, and I can tell that this is one of the dimensionality reduction technique. What we do is, among the n attributes or n features that we are having, we will be selecting only the subset of features, and we will perform analysis based on that particular identified subset. So this approach would actually lead to the loss of information. That is because we are selecting a particular subset. There might be a case that we will be losing some or many of the features or data with respect to the analysis. But suppose if the data set that we are having is having redundant features and irrelevant features, in such cases a feature subset selection will not be effective. So why it is so? Because when I say redundant feature, it means that duplicates are present, and when I say irrelevant features, obviously we will not be selecting those irrelevant features for our analysis purpose, correct? So but these two will affect in another manner. So how does it affect us? If I consider a classification technique, then it reduces the accuracy of a particular classifier. When I consider clustering technique, it would reduce the quality of the clusters that we have identified. So redundancy and irrelevant features present in the data set would be affecting in this manner. Okay, so for this reason, we have to eliminate these two uh, problems that present in the data set. However, we can apply domain knowledge and basic sense to eliminate few of the data, but to find a subset, it actually requires a systematic approach. So one approach can be to find all the subset possible out of the given features. When I say all the subset, it means that it will be around 2 power n subsets that is possible. This we know that when any particular set which is having n elements, the total number of subsets that is possible will be 2 power n. So if I am having n features here, then this number of subset that will be formed will be 2 power n, right? So and after finding all these 2 power n subsets, what we'll do is we'll be performing some kind of analysis. So based on the analysis, we will be selecting few of the subsets. That is how the actual systematic approach we will be following. So again, there is a disadvantage here, because finding 2 power n subsets will be a time consuming process. On top of that, we have to perform some analysis also, right? So this would be a tedious process for any data analyst. So hope you have understood. So in the systematic approach, first what we have to do is, among the n features available, we will be finding all the subsets that is possible, and then we will be performing the analysis, and then we will be identifying the suitable subset. So this would be a tedious process, and hence there is a standard approach which we can use, which has three standard approaches, or three strategies in otherwise we can call it as. One is embedded approach, other one is filter approach, and the third one is wrapper approach. So these three are the standard approach that we can use. So in case of embedded approach, during data mining process, the algorithm itself identifies which attribute to choose and which not to choose. So this is with respect to the embedded approach. Suppose consider we are using embedded approach. In such cases, what happens is algorithm itself will take care of forming the subset and then identifying the suitable subset. That is regarding your embedded approach. In case of filter approach, so using some approach other than the analysis process or the algorithm, using a particular algorithm, but that algorithm is not actual analysis algorithm. Other than the actual analysis algorithm, we will make use of another algorithm which would take care of identifying the subset, and then using that subset we will be performing the analysis. This is your filter approach. So in case of filter approach, you will be having two algorithms, one algorithm to find the subset and another algorithm to perform the actual analysis. Okay, so when it comes to the wrapper approach, here data mining task itself is considered as a black box. like earlier approach, that is like in case of your embedded approach, trial and error method is applied using different subsets, but here not all subsets are considered. So in wrapper approach, what we do is we take actual data mining task as a black box, and then we will be identifying all possible subsets, but we will not consider all the subsets. Only few of the subsets will be taken. We perform the analysis, a test analysis using the actual data mining task for few of the subsets found. So among that, which will give us a better result, that will be taken for the further analysis. So this is the wrapper approach. Hope it is clear, right? So in case of wrapper approach, what we are doing, actual data mining task will be considered as a black box. We will be considering few of the subset as we did in this traditional approach. We In traditional approach we will be considering 2 power n subset, but here in the wrapper approach we will not be considering 2 power n subsets. Instead, few subsets will be considered. Then we perform a test analysis. So based on the result of the test analysis, we will be choosing the actual subsets that is required for further analysis purpose. So these are the three standard approach that we have. So next, let us see the architecture of feature subset selection. So how do we perform? How will we be performing the subset selection? So it has 4 steps. The first step is a measure for evaluating a subset, and the second step, it is we have a search strategy. In the third step we have a stopping criteria, and the fourth step is validating procedure. So it has 4 steps. We First step is a measure for evaluating a subset. We have a measure. Using that measure we will evaluate the subset, and then we'll performing some search strategy, and then we will have a stopping criteria, and finally we will be validating that procedure. Okay, so let us see one by one what it is. First is evaluating measure. So we will consider filter or wrapper approach. Both evaluates subset, but the way in which it does is different. So here we are going to select either the filter approach or the wrapper approach, and these two working procedure is different. In case of filter approach, it finds the subset independent of the data mining task, whereas in case of wrapper approach, it finds the subset by considering the data mining as a black box approach. Black box, this we have seen earlier, right? So here either one of these will be considered as the evaluating measure. Either we will be using filter approach or we will be using wrapper approach. Okay, that is the evaluating measure. See, the question might arise, why can't we use embedded approach? So here embedded approach, as I told earlier, in embedded approach, the data mining algorithm itself would take care of identifying the subset, the procedure of which depends upon the algorithm that is used. So we cannot use that as a evaluating measure. So that will be taken care of the algorithm itself. Okay. So next is your search strategy. Conceptually, a feature subset selection involves searching of overall possible subset of features. But important thing that we have to keep in mind with respect to search strategy is that the search strategy chosen must be computationally inexpensive, and it must be capable of finding optimal or near optimal sets of features. So this is very important with respect to a search strategy. So whenever we are applying the search strategy, we have to keep these two things in mind. First one is the search strategy that is used will be computationally inexpensive, whereas second thing is it is the search strategy that we have applied would be capable of finding the optimal subsets. Okay, to cater the need of second condition, a search strategy as an integral evaluation technique. This evaluation technique is to compare among different subsets identified and select an optimal subset. This is an essential feature for certain mining tasks like classification and clustering. In case of filter approach, the integral evaluation technique would predict how well the actual data mining algorithm will perform a given set of attributes. Whereas in case of wrapper approach, this is a criteria normally used to measure the result of the data mining. So this is about your search strategy. So here in the search strategy, you will having internal search strategy, internal evaluation technique as well. So we can either use the filter approach or the wrapper approach. So next is a stopping criteria. Since there might be a chance of having 2 power n subsets that are possible with respect to a data set having n features, we need to have a stopping criteria. And the stopping criteria that we use might be any one of the following. That is, we can have a fixed value or a fixed number of iteration for which we need to apply the search strategy. That can be the stopping criteria. So the subset of required size is obtained. If we have a subset of required size, we have obtained a subset of required size, then we can stop the searching procedure. Or else, if we have a subset size and evaluation criteria is achieved, in such cases also we can have the as it as a stopping criteria. And the last one is if the results can be achieved using any available option, that can also be considered as a stopping criteria here. So based on these stopping criteria, our research strategy will be repeatedly applied. So it will be iteratively applied. So next is validation. So once the stopping criterion is identified, which means that we have obtained the subset, the required subset. There might be one subset, or it might be more than one subsets available at the end when we reach the stopping criteria. So in case of validation procedure, what happens is we will be performing the verification of the selected subset. So how can we do this is done in three steps. So first one is the data mining task is performed on the entire set of features, and then is mining task is performed on the selected feature subset, and then the third one is comparison of the result and the validation. Okay, so here what we do is first we perform the data actual data mining test with respect to the all the features that is available. So we will be getting a particular result, and then we will perform the data mining task for the selected subsets of the various subsets, considering one subset at a time, and then we'll be performing the same analysis. Now we will be comparing the original result with the test result and see how which subset is yielding as the closer result. So that subset will be considered for feature analysis. So hope this validation is clear. So here validation will be done in three steps. In the first step, actual analysis will be done with respect to entire subsets that is available, sorry, entire features that is available. In the second step, we'll be performing a test analysis. This test analysis is based on the subsets that is identified. Each subset will be considered individually and then analysis is performed. So which test analysis result will be matching closely with the actual result, so that particular subset will be selected as the final subset, and that subset will be taken for the future analysis purpose. So this is what is a subset selection feature, and this is how it works. Now let us see the architecture part of it. So this is the architecture. As I told earlier, initially we'll be having n number of attributes available, and among these attributes, for these attributes we will be applying a search strategy. Then we'll this search strategy from this search strategy we'll be getting subset of attributes. So for these subset of attributes, internal evaluation will be carried out, and then we will see whether stopping criteria is met. If stopping criteria is not met, then again the search strategy will be applied. So this process will be keep on repeating. Once we reach the stopping criteria, which means that we will be having some selected subsets available with us, and then using those selected subsets we will be performing the validation procedure. So this is in simple how the feature subset selection will be done. So hope it is clear. Next we'll be seeing the another technique, which is feature weighing. Feature weighing, this is an alternative approach for retaining or eliminating the features. As the name indicates, each feature will be assigned with certain weights. Most important features are assigned higher weight, while the less important features are assigned with the lower weight. Now the next question that arises, how are we going to assign these weights, right? So using a few some of the weights might be assigned based on the domain knowledge that we have, whereas in few other cases it gets assigned automatically by the algorithms used. In case of classification task, SVM, that is support vector machines, assign weights to the features. So based on the weights assigned, we will be selecting the feature. So this is a simple technique, that is feature weighing. Okay, so next we'll see the next processing step, that is feature creation. So what is actually a feature creation? So here in case of feature creation, a new set of attributes are created. Now at this junction, so let us first get to know the difference between feature selection, feature subset selection and feature creation. In case of feature subset selection, what happens is among the available features we will be selecting some of the features, whereas in case of feature creation, new features are created based on the or using the already available features. So that is the difference between feature subset selection and feature creation. So again I'll repeat, in case of feature subset selection, among the available features we will be selecting subset of it to perform the analysis, whereas in case of feature creation, as the name itself indicates, you are going to create. So you are going to create the feature using already available features. Okay, these new attributes captures the important information of the data set. Further, new attributes might be smaller in number than that of original attributes. This can be achieved using three different techniques or three methodologies, we can say, that is feature extraction, mapping data to the new space, feature construction. So now let us see one by one these feature creation techniques. First is feature extraction. Feature extraction. So this feature extraction, it is going to extract or new features from the original raw data. What is happening here is it provides a high dimensional view of the data. Say consider we have n attributes, that is x1, x2, x3 up to xn. We will map it to a lower dimensional space with m dimensions. So that is, we will be mapping it to the lower dimensional space. So here this z1, z2 up to zm will be the new feature, and here m value will be less than n. That is, new features are less in numbers than the original. Also, here new features are some function of the original features. That is, it is equals to the function of the original features. So this is the original data, which is a lower level view, and this is the newly created attribute set of attribute, which gives me the high level view. So here when I say low level view, high level view, we know that whenever the attribute number of attributes is more, which means that we have detailed information, that is lower level view. And whenever the number of attributes is less, it means that some of the information is being lost, that is, we are having high level view. The same thing is happening here. So it is providing the high dimensional view of the data. Initially I have n attributes, now I am having m attributes where m is less than n. So that is what it is. Now, the new attributes found will be uncorrelated and are not able to reduce further. That is one thing that we have to keep in mind. And the other thing is having larger variation, otherwise the feature won't be able to provide the suitable information. So the new attributes has a larger variation, so because of which it is able to provide the suitable information. Also, we can tell that feature extraction is domain specific. When I say domain specific, it means that a technique used for one field may not be used for the another field. So that is what is domain specific here. So consider a set of let us see an example. And consider a set of photographs. We need to classify these according to whether or not it contains a human face. So suppose consider these are the photographs that I'm having, contains only pixels, that is lower level view with respect to the photograph. It becomes difficult for us to classify, right? So in these images, when you see here, which is having a detailed information, so it is difficult to make the proper analysis. So now say consider we pre-process it to give the higher level view of this data. So now when I pre-process this image in this format, so I'm going to get image in this format, so which is giving me image such that I'll be able to make out human face out of these image. So similarly here, this data is getting transformed like this, wherein I'll be able to see the human face. The slight pattern of the human face at least is visible when I compare these two images. Similarly, in this case also, similarly do in this particular case. So in all these three cases, in these four cases, I'll be able to see at least a structure or a pattern which resembles the human face, whereas in this particular case it was not possible. Next thing that we have with respect to feature creation is mapping data to a new space. So when we try to change the view of the data, often it reveals more interesting data or features. Example, consider a time series data. If the time series data does not contain any noise, then the pattern can be easily detected, as in this case. So here, since the data is without any noise, the original data, and if you see this particular data which is having some noise present in it, and here we are not able to identify the original patterns properly, right? So these two images, when you compare, this is the original data which is without any noise, and say consider here I'm having a noise present, which I'm from these. It is very difficult to get this original pattern, right? So now what I do is I'll map these data points available into a new space by applying one or the other transformations. So we know that generally in such cases, to get the sinusoidal waves, we'll be applying the Fourier transformation. So when I apply Fourier transformation on this particular image here, or this data with noise, so I will get newly transformed data in this format. When I see this particular image here, at least in two different places, at these two places, I am able to get the original pattern, which as I can see in this particular image, right? So this is how I'll be able to perform the pre-processing with respect to mapping the data to the new space. So this is the original data. This is the data with noise. For this, I'll be performing the transformation. That is, I'm applying Fourier transformation here and mapping it to the new space. And this is what is the result which I've got, which at least at two places I'm able to get the original information. Clear? So next thing in feature creation is feature constructions. Sometimes original data sets have features which has necessary informations. But the thing is there are in the form suitable for data mining algorithm. In such situation, what we can do is we can construct one or more features from the original one so that it becomes suitable for mining algorithm. So in here, what we are going to do is we are going to construct a new feature. That is, I have the data, but that particular data is not suitable for the analysis. So what I do is, among the available data, I'm going to construct a new data. Say consider the historic artifacts that is available here. So these are the historic artifacts that is present here. Okay, so say consider along with the other features of the artifact, we have data related to mass and also volume given to us. So they have given some data set. In this data set, what we are having is we are having name of this artifact, we have where it is located, what is the time period at which it is built. I also have length, width, volume, and mass. Now, suppose if the problem here is to classify the artifact with respect to the material with which these artifacts are made. So like say consider this artifact, is it made up of wood or clay or gold, etc. So now I have to classify these artifacts based on that particular property. But when I see this data set, I don't have that property which specifies whether it is made of that particular material or not. So in such case, what we can do is, I'll try to make use of any of the attributes present here and construct a new attribute which would directly or indirectly give an idea of what material it is made up of. So since we know that he's telling it as wood, clay, gold, etc. So yeah, among the data set given, among the attributes given, I can make use of this volume and mass, and I can find a construct a new attribute called as density. Correct. So we know that density is nothing but mass and volume. So density is the new feature here we have constructed. Now based on the density, I'll be able to indirectly tell whether that this particular artifact is it made up of clay, or it is made up of wood, or it is made up of plastic, or anything as such, correct? So this is what is your feature creation. So with this, we have come to the end of this particular session. Thank you, students.